all to Narwhal. So just showing that the early game action is definitely cooking up here. And it looks like Paper and Chaotic are trying to turn this bad story into a good story for them at least. But no, Chaotic's going to get punished big time here as Paper's trying to bounce him back in the competition. I mean, we know that a two-man team can definitely fend off a 3, but it's not going to be easy. It's all about the angles. Can they get it? No. Paper's going to fall here. It's only up to Chaotic.
Yeah, I was going to say, if any two players can do it on that team, especially Chaotic and Paper, are definitely the firepower in this trio, has been the smarter, more methodical leader of the team, but unfortunately, they just can't hold off, and they do fall again, and that is 0-2 at Steamy, and this is a drop they've been going for a long time, and if I know anything about the personalities of Has, Paper, and Chaotic,
definitely. And could that be Bugga and company coming down from Stark's Industry? Could it be Zates and company rifting in late? Could it be Calculator and Macwood, right? Like, there could be a number of teams. Names. So many big names rotate center map for Storm Surge tags and for fights in general. We don't know who it is just yet, as Miro's going to get sniped from the Authority here, possibly from Aspect, Zunies, and Npen, because they also hold that high ground and look inwards towards these fights that go down by this gas station here. That's crazy how much insight we have just off of the potential rivalries that can unfold here on the Fortnite map.
And they've lost more than what I want to say. They've lost more than they gained from this fight. Yes, they have 2 points on the board, but we talked about it in the pre-show with the analysis of what's better, eliminations or placement. And yes, eliminations are great, but if you're using this much material, this many meds, you've now got Miro down to only 5 minis and 2 weapons. It's just, you got to think whether it's worth it. And I think we're getting a replay of what happened to Clicks here. We do Postic taking Clicks out of the sky there, so it does look like maybe a connection issue on his part, unfortunately. But Postic getting the elimination there, kind of rounding out that one all the way downtown from Holly. So the Clicks is down, and I'm gonna imagine they didn't get the reboot card from that.
Yeah, definitely rough there. And you can see, you know, these pros, they won't miss a pixel. If you're floating by, if you're just, you know, an inkling of body pieces hanging out, it's over. They're gonna hit that. Clarity though, Niddle and Mikey, much of which we didn't see in the first game. They were taken out in the feed though. They are here. I think this is the first time they've qualified for this set. So they are here. They're trying to do something big. It's like he's gonna fall there, so this is good for Clarity now. He's trying to go in. Yes, they want to pick this loot up.
He's got the Slurpfish as well, giving obviously 40 health if he needs it. The Storm's only a single tick, so not too much damage, as we now see Saf, Stretch, and Zane. Let's talk about the amount of distance they've covered as well. So they haven't gone that far out of Doom's domain. So they've looted, they've taken their time, and now instead of hitting those rifts and going really deep, obviously when they get a zone on this side, they're a little bit, I was going to say a little bit more cautious, but no, we have Stretch getting a sniper elimination onto that guy, Luca, who we saw have a really big performance last game as a solo, clutching up for his team, but unfortunately, he falls here, and Zate is so quick to shockwave onto that one and make sure he finishes off before another team can push in and take the loot.
Who knows what they're doing? Who knows how to rotate, and who knows how to PvP?
Yeah, exactly. And we already saw it last game. We talked about it, and I feel like we didn't do justice to a Monster. We haven't talked yet about how well AV was able to perform on that low and mid ground with the first stat game we've seen without the Doom's Mythic Bomb. Everyone talks about the pressure it applies to builds, but not what it does when it sets the ground layer on fire. It really does mess things up if you're an ultimate low ground team, and literally the ground beneath your feet is going to cause damage.
Yes, exactly. But hold up, we got a big battle here. Chap's gonna get dived into, and he loses track. He thought it was a teammate to his side, and he didn't even bother looking in the direction, and now he's gonna get taken out here. So down goes Chap to XNB. This is a new team qualifying through this week. Remember,
I can't imagine why a team would be triple ramping towards away from Storm on top of a team unless they really need their damage. And I was going to say, it's these new teams that show up that have these desperate strategies that quite often catch you off guard, as Niddle's going in right now, but Niddle wants to catch this player off guard, jumps in right there and takes down Jarito or Harito, I'm not sure. Niddle's going to try and break his way out now though, as there is a big fight breaking down around him.
Or Billist. Bizzle and Isis now sitting here. You have rubbed off on me. Bucky, Creo, and Kanata sitting on the other side, putting some big pressure. They're actually going to find it. Okay, so Serio's going to come in from the pinch, and it's a big pinch here.
It's a big pinch indeed. Creo's trying to push forward into it now. This is a team that they've taken down another elimination here, though. That was that one guy, Luca. So he actually got rebooted after that situation. I don't know how here. I'm kind of confused, but we have Bucky, Creo, and Kanata on the board here with 3 eliminations, and look at all the room they control now. And I was going to say, if that fight breaks out between Bizzle and Illest, man, we're going to get it down. You and me, after this, we're going to run rounds. We're going to do like, you know, when you're back at school and you had to write it 100 times, I'm just going to say it over and over again. But we get to see Centered, Edgy, and Commander Commandment, a team that obviously Reese has high hopes for, sitting in a really good position there as we pan over them and see another team that struggled game one. We have Zexo, Calc, and Macwood looking like they're in a bit better of a position, hitting the taxi rotate. We have Bizzle and Illis trying to make a little sneaky rotate. We know they're obviously down a player. Clicks has fallen here, so they're trying to do this as a duo, and that's where Bizzle's trying to really keep a low profile, but no, again, just testament to how good he is with the sniper, getting the 116 body tag, which is damage they're gonna need. They had a whole player less to get their Storm Surge tags this game, and they were uncontested, and they're still managing it, just showing how good this team is. And you talked about it before with Zate with the charged shotgun. We have Bizzle opting to hold on to the legendary charge, and he had uncontested Sweaty, so unless he's picked that up somewhere along the way, which I doubt, he chose not to upgrade as well. I actually think when we tuned in at the start, he had a pump. So he has side graded the pump into a charge, which we very rarely see coming into endgame, but some players love it for holding those angles, as Bizzle, though, might not even be able to show off why it's so good, and no, he falls before he can even put it to use, and Illist has to try and do something here, and this is what's hard when you don't prioritize those early rotates, Monster. You get held so badly.
And it's crazy how this is going to work out. That little mountain dome is going to play into their favor. It's going to keep Bizzle alive some way, somehow. This is not something you see very often, but still, a miraculous game. The fact they're even up right now as a two-man crew this late into the running, as 10 other teams nearly have already been dropped out of the lobby, is impressive. Macwood finding Thunder there as well. Remember, Thunder was solo after fighting Clarity G and getting that trade on the team that was outside on the outer skirts of the map. So now that he's out of the game, that means Calc, Macwood, and Zextro just caught a massive impact elimination to keep their loot nice and fresh coming into this endgame. And the zone's going to favor the western portion, once again feeding into them as well, setting players up like them on this northern side of the zone up for success here.
But Bizzle is he's 58 below right now, but there's a big tag on Oliver OG, a player who I think this is his first time in the finals.
Bringing him
and
back
Illis going to be able to pick him up and bring him back in. He's going to go for the max tag. Here it is. He's going to pick him up. So if you're confused on what happened there, we had 2 AR tags from Illis on the downed opponents. That's 66 damage there, depending on the assault rifle. And then we had Illis pick the player up so Bizzle can get the max damage sniper headshot. It's just these little things that mean such a big difference. And now look how they are 467 above, and they're doing so well. This is a duo, and we have our 2 eliminations onto Bizzle, which is not what we're used to seeing. We're used to seeing Illist and Clicks definitely picking up those eliminations, as we have Creo and Kanata and Bucky up there on top of their head, showing that Bizzle's in a good spot, because that is 2 of the smartest teams, both on the same side of zone, hitting the same rotate.
And can I just say, as a two-man team, how smart would it be to run charge shotgun when typically if you're holding down the charge, the team's going to back off, right? No one's going to walk into that wall, especially at a legendary. So it could just be a big play, thinking well in advance how to set up for success and keep teams from pushing onto them. But anyways, Macwood's going to get tagged here. The Siphon's going to roll over. 100 HP is going to be all he has to work with on this big rotate. And yes, they're going to get there for free. They're going to barely get in, but Zextro now, with 1 min, he's going to have to share it here with Mac. And it's not looking good for them, but hey, they live to see another day.
It's not looking too great for them, but they're doing well to fight their way back from this. They have the minis, they have the bandages, but they need another big impact. But Macwood and Zextro are going to be able to find it potentially if they can knock someone in, but they're kind of on their lonesome here. There's no players really above them. They've got a few below them, but it's a full trio in metal, and they're setting up for what I think is a crash pad play potentially. This team could find themselves dropped in soon. It's something you always have to be aware of. If you're built up 1 layer, and I called it, they get dropped in. If you're built up 1 layer and a team sets up a ramp beneath you, they can drop a crash pad on the ramp, knock you out, and open up the easy elimination. And just like that, obviously we had the benefit of the 3D pan out camera to see it coming. Unfortunately, Macwood and Zextro didn't, but what we're gonna see, which a lot of these teams are gonna see very soon, is we have a very, very familiar team on high grounds.
Yes, definitely. It's the game 1 winners on height, Zate, Saf, and Stretch. But I also wanted to mention that rivalry between Booga Jamper and Avery is extending into this game as well, because they took out Creo already from Bucky, and Kanata now left alone there in the low ground too. So big teams from last week carrying it into this week's qualifier, and these are the kind of battles we knew that we were going to see. And I mean, we saw it unfold in game 1. Now we're seeing it once again unfold here in game 2. Can they make it all the way through to this tail end? It's Bully, though, that we're tuning in the mid game.
And Commandment just took down Booger in the feed, though, so it's going both ways. I've seen AV go down, I've seen Booger go down. So there's a lot of teams right now that don't have their full firepower. They don't have their full trio, and that's just looking better and better for our high ground team, as we definitely have full firepower on Zate, Stretch, and Saf. I saw Blake go through there as well, so Blake might have a chance, and Avery and Jamper is still looking good on that front side as they're making their way through. But we can just see the dominance we're used to seeing. Once this team's on high ground in this situation, I'm only really looking at teams like Booger, Jamper, and Avery coming out of Stark with those shockwaves to be able to do something to beat them. But if Booger's gone down, I have to think again, we might see the back-to-back wins.
Yeah, there's literally only 3 or 4 teams at the highest caliber on the NA East that plays for high ground. Booga Jamper, Avery, Kanata, Bucky, Creo being one of them. And those 2 teams have lost a lot of their firepower, as Blake's gonna fall there as well, being the solo member of his team left alive here. And all of a sudden, the Elims are racking up stretches at 4 eliminations. This high ground pressure's coming in, and you can see it's just continuing to add on, to continuing to compound up here in this final moments.
And Zayt, Staff, and Stretch need to make a statement here. I touched on it earlier. There are people who are starting to doubt that whether they're still at the top level, whether they're still at the highest caliber. And they've been saying it's because they're getting contested and they're showing what they can do right now. This team is just so committed to high ground. Once they take it, Stretch has 5 eliminations on the board. We are tuning in with some of the most precise assault rifle aim you're ever going to see. And it picks up so many eliminations down there. They're doing this as well without Doom's Mythic. They're saying that we don't need that. We don't need all the advantages. We can play this game as well, if not better than everyone else without it, and they're taking high ground consistently. And all those teams down there are scrambling, trying to get away from it, and there's nothing they can do.
Yeah, definitely, and you can see the Elam feed is lighting up, but it doesn't matter. It's most of it is coming to Zayt and Stretch here, as they are just finding every single frag. We're going to look into Saf's perspective as well. He has that harpoon once again. This is something consistent that we see with his kind of loadout build, right? He uses the harpoon consistently. He is the key refresher to this trio here, and it's all about team dynamic right now, and you're watching this play out beautifully here. As now, this is it. 7 teams remaining. The zone's only going to conclude now. 60 seconds just about left here before it finally closes into one another. I don't know if I checked for heals on the inventory, but I think Zay already has the med kit as well. And where you're going to see next is him possibly split out, take that ultimate high, and yes, Stretch and Saf are probably going to come down and look for some elims.
They're really trying to find those angles, and a lot of these zones have gone through old builds, which has kept those teams protected, but they're going to eventually have to go outside that, as we do see Centered go down there as well. I think it's Centered or Edgy. Change the name there as Saf, Stretch. They're so dominant right now, but they get shot out though. Miro comes up for it. Miro tries to go for this. Miro is contesting, but there's only so much he can do. Is he going to be able to do it? He does. He knocks Zayt out. No, we've been building this whole storyline as who can actually beat Zayt, and Miro said, I can. You forgot about me. He does fall, but unfortunately, I think the damage has been done to Zayt, so now it's going to be on to Saf and Stretch to do something big here as Grazka on the low ground. 2 eliminations already. Only has 50 shield, 30 healthy. Backs up, gets the 110, the 35 follow-up. He's 10 HP. He gets the siphon at the very last second. He picks up the elimination. He pushes forward right now. He has the bandage cannon in hand. Has a shockwave as well. But I think with the solo advantage right now, he needs to play out for second. I don't know whether he's going to be able to win a 1v2 to win the game. Day's trying to stay alive as well. Everyone's going for this. They're trying to get maximum placement. Second place is huge. And there it is. Day falls. But no. Oh my gosh. Grazko saying no. I can do this here. Grazko falls here. Saf and Stretch manage to win it as Zayt goes out. But what an insane solo effort, Monster.
Place. Oof, 21 eliminations, way ahead of everyone else right now. But to be honest, actually, Day, Miro, and Reverse really had a big game there. They've jumped up into 4th place. After that, they had 14 eliminations. So really good game for them. And in 5th, we've got Graska, Pozic, and Accept.
Puts them right into that top 5. Xset right after that. Had a consistent game 1, but kind of trickled down 18th in that last game.